And we're live. Hi, everybody. I'm John
Great.
Paduchak from JohnPaduchak.com and Targeted Net Solutions, my digital agency.
What's it called again?
Targeted Net Solutions.
Targeted Net Solution. Is that a .com?
Yes.
Plural.
There's nothing on it right now because I'm redoing everything.
Good. Hey, are you the boss?
I am today. I'm the boss of you. No, I'm just kidding.
Just gonna squeeze. Gonna pop your head.
Hey, don't do that. You can see why stress relief is important.
This, by the way, this is a stress reliever. It was given to me.
I know. I can sense that.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I'm Dr. Christopher Vogelman of Maximize Your Media, our digital agency, and I'm not stretching the truth. I'm stretching this. DrVogelman.com. Or you can find me with Life Beyond Practice, which is my coaching group for doctors. Actually, it's a free coaching group. Come to think of it.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
It's not too bad, yeah. Because we want to distribute as much information as possible. So, all right, this guy's retiring. What are we talking about today?
We are talking about sorting through the stuff in your brain, the journey towards clarity today.
Clarity, and you know this cucumber water is cloudy. You do not want your brain to look like this.
No, we don't want. No, definitely no.
You want clarity. So I think that's one of the greatest curses of all time, is being creative and having lots of ideas. And I think, speaking of ideas, I think we need to sort this and send this from your. Are you on your personal profile?
I am. On my personal profile right now. It's very.
So let me share from that.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to do, but I'm getting some new share options I don't normally have today.
Oh,
it wants like you had. I don't know. Like you had the other day, they're asking me if I want to start a watch party.
Oh, see, that's the problem. When I shared it, that's what I had before. When you share it into a group, it starts the whole watch party thing. And that's just crazy because then you have a 20-second delay of the watch party and you're hearing the audio from that as well as the audio from your current broadcast. Don't do it. Don't do it. I've made that mistake already.
So I haven't had that problem before.
Oh.
Which is very odd. And so now I'm just trying to see if I can.
Maybe they don't like you.
I don't know. This is a whole new option thing that I haven't had before.
I'm calling this. We're talking about the big C word, clarity.
Clarity, yes. Well, I was able to share it there, so that worked out well.
Okay.
I'm still trying to do one other one.
I'm going to go to Dr. Vogelman's page, Dr. Christopher Vogelman. There's my personal timeline. Most people seem to go to the personal timeline. For me, I don't know if that's true for you.
They do seem to do that quite frequently. I definitely have to work on finding a way to automate the share.
That would be great, actually.
That's one of the clarity pieces in my brain.
Share to a story. I could share to my story. That's actually interesting. I've done that a couple times.
You can do that.
That way.
You can
sharing
do that
as a message. Mm-hmm. Page is the one I always try to do.
So, anyways,
I'm
back.
Are you clear?
You have to watch the watch party. You can still share the stream, but they're changing watch party stuff. Oh, cool. All right, Troy.
Troy says they're changing the watch party stuff?
They're changing, they're changing watch party stuff. Yeah.
Changing to what, though?
I had to go through a different share scenario than I did before
to
do this. Kind of like the old sharing setup.
Yeah.
But that's all right. As long as we found you, we got it in your group, we got it in our group.
We just adapt. We adapt.
All is well. Yeah. So hey, it's good to be here. I'm just coming off of a 4-hour meditation workshop.
Oh, so you should have immense clarity. You should have complete clarity right now. You're able to tell us how the universe fits together at this point.
Maybe partially, probably, but there's another part of me that feels like a sponge that's just been absorbing a lot and now wants to go take a nap.
Do you have square pants? Your name's not Bob either. So
not today, no. So anyways, hey, so
I need to
clarity.
adjust. I'm a little
Clarity.
distracted. I need to adjust my lighting.
Oh,
Oh.
it's something we're even clearly challenged with today.
Ah,
Clarity.
I feel better now. I feel so much better. So in terms of clarity, so you were telling me, just was it last night or today? All the days blend into one another. That you have a lot of ideas on what you want to. Oh, it was within Messenger.
Oh gosh,
Ideas
so
about
many,
your business,
so
about
many
this.
ideas.
So many ideas.
It's
So
almost
how do you sort through those ideas and test them as to which are the best ideas, and which ones you need to toss to the side or save them for a later time?
I find that my number one way to run through things and figure out what I want to do next is with the help of friends.
Oh, do you have any?
So, couple.
Two.
At least one.
Cats don't count.
I seem to be talking to him right now, so I need one.
Cats do not count.
I know, and that's a funny thing I've noticed about the meditation workshop when I'm in it. All my pets come and sit on my lap. It's like my cat wants to get on me.
Pretty cool. Yeah.
My rabbit my rabbit doesn't even like me, and she wants to get on.
The rabbit doesn't like me and wants to come in.
Well, she kind of likes me. She's very standoffish. Like there's certain times she'll let me pick her up. She's a house rabbit. She's litter trained and all of that, but she just doesn't like to be picked up.
Is your middle name Aloof?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. But anyways, so that's a weird experience. But I don't know what causes that. But it's very interesting.
Probably just your whole vibe changes. I mean, I would imagine even
I would think
pheromones and all even your biochemistry probably changes, and you suddenly become irresistible.
I would think
to the animal world.
Yeah. So I got my cat in my lap. I've got like 20 people watching me with my cat in my lap, and that doesn't usually work well with where I'm sitting. I'm sitting, at my desk in a chair, and yeah. I think I'm
Were you personally on live video during the meditative class?
I was, because we used the regular Zoom meeting room.
Okay, got it.
And then we had about 25 people, I think, for it.
That's great.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So it was nice, and that you're right. That does help me a lot with clarity too. So going and taking time and think through things and work through things mentally does help a ton with clarity.
I find that if I'm reminded about my highest values and my mission, my family, the things that I want to accomplish, and I take those ideas and filter them through that particular sieve or colander, not all the ideas make it on the other side.
No.
Yeah.
They do not. I always find too, if I do like these big long lists, like I'll usually do a huge list of all these different thoughts and ideas and things that I want to do. And then once I prioritize them, they don't all make it through the sieve either. And so that's how I do the same thing. I actually like to write things out, pen and paper, and big white pad, yellow pad, whatever it might be.
Do you have a whiteboard?
I do. I have a whiteboard down in my old office where I'm not currently working right now because I'm just like redoing everything. It's like my life is in a state of redo right now, which also makes things really hard clarity wise. So
it's better to be in a state of redo than a state of doo-doo.
Oh, for sure. For sure, it's better. It's funny though, when you're in a state of redo, there's a lot of stuff that goes through your mind. Like you're constantly trying to figure out what's the next, what are the next steps, what's most important to you, and so that's constantly ringing through of what's the most important thing I need to be working on in this given month, in this given time that we are in. So
when you have a list, see my lists, I sometimes have to stop myself because it's not very difficult at all for me to come up with a list of 94 different things.
Yes.
And then when I look at that list, I reach a state of complete overwhelm and don't want to start any of those things. So for me, a lot of times it's coming up with my top 3 things for a particular day to clear my mind of all the other potentially brilliant ideas, all those $1 million ideas that I'm going to set aside for now, and focus on those things which are most important and the most immediate need. But keeping a vision, I think if you want to establish clarity and sort through all of your ideas, you need to have a certain vision of where you want to have your life eventually wind up. And that's why I used to love, I've been to a couple of Stephen Covey events while he was still breathing.
I was going to say.
Yeah, no, he was. Yeah. In fact, one time he stood in front of me in one of these huge seminars, and just was staring down at me the entire time when he was rattling off for about 2 minutes. I was like, I started feeling very uncomfortable.
I can imagine. Begin with the end in mind.
Even thinking about it, begin with the end in mind. And I think one of the excellent exercises, that's XX, one of the excellent exercises that I remember from his work was writing your own obituary.
Oh, yeah.
And I know it sounds a little morbid. It sounds kind of like, oh my God, it's the end of my life. But it's a way of you projecting what you would like your own legacy to be in the distant future. And that's probably one of the most powerful exercises that you can actually do, because you begin with the end in mind. It's the far end in mind.
That's
and you're starting very far, like post-mortem in mind. And you start with this concept of this is how people will look upon you and your legacy in the future once you've departed this earth. And I think that actually has a lot more power than just setting a goal of saying, oh, I want to make a 7-figure agency business within the next 3 years, or I want to have a boat, or I want to have a $2 million house on a lake, or whatever type of, I would say, material goal that you would have. And it really focuses you a little bit more on what is your legacy? What do you want to be remembered for? And that is a huge tool in terms of developing a sense of clarity.
Absolutely.
This guy is a huge tool. This guy's a small tool.
He's a small tool for clarity in the moment.
It clarifies my stress reduction at any given moment.
I always love those.
So what types of procedures or things do you do? I mean, you mentioned writing everything down. Do you kind of cross them out, or do you assign them a certain amount of importance? Like, this is my number 1 thing. This is my number 7 thing. I'm not going to touch anything above 12.
I like to go through and sort them out, and then I like to put in a couple that I'd like to be working on in at any given day. Who's this guy? Right there. It's our favorite guest, Troy McDonald. Ladies and gentlemen.
Vogue.
There we go.
There you go. He's kind of like he's an Italian. He wants
to I'll make room for you, and I always have to make room for Troy to talk with his hands.
Yeah, make room for his hands.
So there you go.
Oh, look,
gotta fix my sheet. Gotta fix my sheet.
There you go.
I feel it's like I'm catching a wave.
There's a breeze.
There's a little breeze.
There's a little sheet breeze going. That's very nice.
Oh, no sheet breeze from you.
Oh. Oh, that's not what's on the sheet that I keep seeing. I keep thinking there's a printed thing on the sheet. It's what's behind the sheet.
It says, do not use in broadcast.
I don't know what it is.
Okay.
Anyways, hey, what's happening, Troy?
Listening to you guys while I prepared a few comments. I actually took some notes of something to cover.
Oh, I love it.
Good. For the live stream group?
Actually, for you guys. And it actually is going to be I'm going to make attempt to make it in a live snippet as well.
Like 5 minutes, 4 minutes?
For the group. Something like that, 5, 8, something like that.
I was going to do your snippet today that you asked me about the other day, like how I do the share to your group. And I started to do that. And then I realized I've only got like 10 minutes before we're supposed to get on, because I had like a big workshop today. I said, and then Dr. V was like, "Hey, are we ready?
Hey, do we have a link for today?"
Yeah. So I'll get that later.
Okay, cool. I appreciate it. I did hear you also earlier talk about, making it easier or having an easier way to share, the live stream, in the group. And again, since I don't have my PC side connected into my Mac yet, I don't know of the best suggestion, but it really comes down to setting some sort of, automation type thing where you can actually just press a button and then it'll pull up the browser, slap it in,
Boom,
and then
boom, 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 boom. Yeah.
it'll just
Right.
Close it down. And that's what I'm doing too with the keyboard Maestro on the Mac. Is I'm just automating various different things because, like we talked about yesterday, time is more valuable than money.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. It is, and in fact, an interesting thing. Another person that's in the group, she will remain nameless. She has had a couple different live streams that she's done, different interviews and things that she's done. And she did one yesterday, and I kind of pinged her and said, you forgot to put that in the group. Would have loved to, let more people know about it. And she's like, I meant to do it. And then the baby was going crazy. And, and I'm like,
automate it's important.
Yeah. And so, what she kind of came up with would be good is to put together maybe like a checklist for people. Mm-hmm. So just for when they go live,
we have a checklist. We have a checklist. Surprising that you asked.
Right. And so what she suggested was to talk to people in the group to kind of, in essence, hey, give us your list, and then maybe kind of compile it, because there's going to be a lot of things that are the same.
That'd be good.
And then some that'll be in essence optional for other people, but include that, like kind of like you do. Get on, just talk a tad bit, go ahead and grab the link, throw it into the group, and then pretty much you're ready to roll.
Yeah, and you want to give people a chance to appear too.
Yeah, I do like scheduling in advance though, because it's so much easier. Then you don't have to just do all this stuff. But we find we're starting to get into the habit of 5 Eastern, 2 Pacific, 3 Mountain. So I'm not neglecting the Central Time Zone. It's just
4 Central. There you go.
The people in the Central Time Zone pretty much operate on Eastern Time. Sorry to say. I can tell you that from having lived in St. Louis, everything was gained around or centered around what was going on in New York or Miami or something.
I don't know what time it is here.
Does anybody know what time it is? Does anybody really care?
Crickets.
Yeah. Silence out there. Hey, so what do you got for us today, Troy? Clarity.
Well, I just will let you know really quick. Let me clarify a few things for you. Okay. So yes, Facebook has been. It's interesting because on the phone app. So I'm talking Apple products. I'll just say, so on the iPhone, it shows there's different options for you for sharing stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The iPad it's laid out differently as well. And I know you could say like, well, it's the spacing on the device versus like say a computer, which has a bigger monitor and everything like that. But it's interesting how they have been rearranging some things. They have some harder to find things, and then some, I can't find it things like, it's been really weird. Like, so sometimes if I'm late at night or, sometimes early in the morning, I may be, still waking up. So I'll pull up to see if anybody's got any live streams on that I've got to throw into the group or something. Right. And like one day on the phone, I'll be able to share to the group. Next, it is, they only want you to basically start a watch party. And I'm like, well, I'm not really going to be there watching it. So it's like you start the watch party and then you leave it. And I don't know how it handles those, but I kind of don't think that's fair to do that, because that's almost like you're tricking people like, hey, join a watch party, but I'm not really going to be there.
Yeah, but I mean, you want to create some comments and you want to have somebody there. Well, you don't have to be there, but somebody should be there to respond to comments.
Yeah, so I have one going right now. I started up in the group for here, and I do notice that some people have come into the watch party, and again, they don't have to comment and everything like that. But I do know that it does another level or another version of notifying people in the world that we are in with the less notifications that Facebook is already doing.
Right.
So, but anyway, so that's kind of to clarify that they have been changing things around, and
yes,
it's been even different almost, I wouldn't say from day to day, but like every other day, because it's weird. Sometimes I'm like, hey, what? I can share it now? I wasn't able to share it from my phone the other day, this live stream that somebody had going on. And so I had to like, either pull up my iPad real quick or rush over to my computer and do it, because I wanted to get that into the group. So it's just been interesting, been annoying, but interesting.
Interesting. and the new format that they have now in beta, I know I was going to even just create a group last night because we were doing like a exercise where we had to go create a group. I went to try to do that with a new version, and all the settings are different. It wouldn't let me change anything. I had to go back to the classic view to actually build a group.
I just noticed this is different too, because this allows you to share on my phone. I can share to the message, to the story of my page, which is not something that I saw earlier on the laptop version.
I don't really do much of the story stuff anyway, so I'm like,
some people I know, they're addicted to the stories. They don't touch anything else.
Yeah.
Some folks I know, they'll take a certain number of their Instagram stories, particularly amongst food bloggers and other creatives and travel people, and they'll take portions or tiny stories, and they download maybe 5 out of 20 into their Facebook and use those as Facebook stories. But that's just to create some additional engagement. But you'd be surprised the number of people who only go through stories and they could care less about the posts.
Yeah, I do see people using it. I just have never really looked into it. I just figured I just put my stuff on my my main feed, my main page or whatever.
It's part of short attention span theater. So
I get a lot of response to stories.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah.
Now you guys got me thinking.
Yeah, some people say they don't watch them, and then I go see a bunch of people watch them.
Some people say they don't watch them until that's how they connect with you.
I try to use it all and let time bear itself out.
Yeah.
And just see what works and what doesn't.
We'll develop clarity on this subject of stories at a future date.
I have been very amazed lately looking at some of my live video numbers since we started broadcasting daily and what our activity is.
Yeah.
And I think my viewership on my page is up 6,532% in 2 weeks.
That's pretty amazing.
That's pretty impressive. I mean,
I'd say so.
Granted, I haven't been doing a lot except posting, daily posts that I've scheduled, but since
I can check
adding live to the mix, it's really done a lot.
Hey, Donald.
So I can share this to the story on Dr. Christopher Vogelman's profile page. It's very interesting. It comes so it goes into the story, and if you want to put another link in there, it gives you the option to put a link in there.
I'm gonna have to look into that.
That's just really interesting. Talk about on the fly.
Yeah, I think there's more emphasis going into live stories and groups on Facebook.
So too, yeah.
Because last night we were talking a lot about groups and the fact that starting them, how much Facebook, if you've got a group that's popular, Facebook wants to send people to your group because they can get people interested in what's here. And why not? You're creating content to keep people.
I can even make it snazzier. Look at these backgrounds to put on the story for my page. Pretty cool.
Yes, there's a lot of changes.
Not desktop. None of this is on the desktop.
I know. Hey, so back to our original subject.
Clarity.
Clarity, which we clearly don't have here because we're talking all about Facebook.
Well, the way I see it is we're clarifying.
Well, we're clarifying the elements of a digital strategy for extending our reach.
Yeah. Jokingly, but not jokingly, we are clarifying. We're just actually doing very specific clarifications versus the overall theme of clarity.
We're being very granular.
Yes.
We're not big picture right now. So in terms of big picture, Troy, are there any things that you've done in terms of figuring out what your overarching goal is or where you want to go and how you work backwards to starting things out in a new venture or like the new group, the live stream group?
Yeah. And in fact, since like I said, I pull your guys up in the beginning and I let you guys get warmed up and it already got me thinking. So I jotted down a few notes. I saw the boss. You said the boss is retired, but you seem to still be playing with the boss.
Well, the funny thing is that some people in this family have referred to me as this guy. And they were squeezing and popping his head up and all kinds of crazy.
Yeah.
But
driving the car over it. Then you were starting to go like, what?
Yeah, exactly. So I was concerned I'd start seeing pins and needles going in.
That's the thing. If you put your picture in it and get a bunch of really long needles.
Exactly. My face appeared out here.
Hey, Doc, does your back hurt? Hey, there you go. Anyway.
So we got Shane, we got TG Thomas in the group, we got Donald and Diesel. Just saying hi to those guys in the watch party.
Hola.
But yeah, so the notes that I jotted down, because I've actually been thinking about this recently, and because I'm going to be doing some more actual learning, teaching in the group versus just my group updates.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is something that's sort of been top of mind. And then again, when I'm listening to you guys, it just kind of clicked a little more of. So here's the thoughts. So when we grew up, I mean, all of us are similar age range,
mm-hmm.
and when we grew up, it was just like we just kind of did things. It wasn't that big a deal. There wasn't like so much overwhelm. I mean, right. Overwhelm is natural, but I mean, like we didn't really have it as much as I think that we experience now.
There wasn't as much of a data deluge.
I think for us now, it's like we grew up or grew into it like the frog that's being boiled in water.
Yeah.
Because I think now the way that we feel most of the time or too often is just this overwhelm of choices and decisions and where should I go and what's the right one and all that kind of stuff, where I can think back to when it wasn't like that. And so I just wanted to point that out, that we are in a different time than we grew up in. And we have to realize that now we are in a different thing, because a lot of times we try to apply our old thinking into a new way. And I'm not even talking about because of the virus kind of stuff.
No, I think like in terms of, when I was growing up, we had, 3 major channels, and then there was PBS, and then suddenly Fox appeared because we didn't have cable TV, and so you had maybe 5 channels you had to be concerned with. And then in the 80s, you had Bruce Springsteen talking about, 26 channels and there ain't nothing on. And now we have hundreds and hundreds of channels to bombard you with whatever type of television thing you have. And then you've got multiple devices that you can see these things on. Newspapers. We used to spend a lot of time with newspapers and magazines. I don't know if you ever did, but I did.
Yep.
And so this leads me to, I heard a talk a little while ago. Well, not a little while ago. It's been a few months, and if I remember correctly, it was in a talk by Dallin Oaks, and what he talked about was, with again so much choice, so many options, so many things, it is overwhelming. We have to start thinking of good, better, and best. While there are good things that we should do and can feel compelled or drawn to doing that, there are also the ones that are probably better choices to do that we'll still feel compelled and drawn to do. And then there's the best ones that we need to pick from all of the choices and do those and understand and feel fine that we are picking the best, because you're always going to feel, or there's always going to be that tendency to feel that you missed out on the better ones and the good ones, because they still feel, look, I mean, even the bottom ones called good, who doesn't want to feel good, right?
Well, but that's the whole FOMO thing, the fear of missing out. And that you're somehow going to, if you don't do everything, you're going to feel like you're missing out on something.
Right.
And then applying an 80-20 rule to the choices that you're making, which is get that 20% or that 10% that really is going to get clear on what things are that are going to make the greatest results in whatever you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and now listen to this quandary, because you just bring something up. So the 80-20, okay, that's something that we always...
I like 90-10, by the way.
99-1. No.
99-1 would be great. Yeah.
Well, is that we can use all these different... Here's what happens if we use one strategy, so like good, better, best, then we go, well, we need to add the 80-20 into it, and then there's another, and so now we're in this big quandary of, or really more like in a stuck state of like, now I can't even really decide, because okay, I got the best ones, but then I need to apply the 80-20 to it. And here's what I say. The best thing to do is to, again, like we had talked a little while back about, is getting on paper, getting away from the digital kind of realm, because it puts you in a different mindset to write some stuff down.
Right.
And really just try not to get deep into the thought of why everyone, this one is good, and this one's better, this one's better, this is a better, this is a good, and this is best. And that you're giving so much thought to it, like so deep. You just try to go off your natural instinct of what you consider to be good, better, best. Then take.
I would just say that your 20% is the best. So you could actually layer these on top instead of as a filter, instead of trying to say, I've got this, now I've got this, now I've got this to look. You could just layer this stuff on.
Yeah, if you can apply the different things that your mind brings up and make it to the other side, then I'm fine with whatever strategy you use. I'm trying to make it like lowest common denominator of just writing things down and then going with your gut, labeling them as good, better, best. Then you just take your best and feel confident in those, because those good and better ones are always going to be tugging at the back of your mind, but you're going to have to kind of put them aside and pick from your best to implement. Which brings me to my next point. So I've been in the internet marketing game since '94, and I've done just about any and everything from spam to starting up an affiliate program from scratch. I've done the corporate realm of internet marketing, AdWords. I mean, just everything. And so it was so easy, because it was like the boiling a frog. Well, if you learn this, the next thing you know, this is interesting, this is fun, especially if you like marketing and the concepts and just the whole world about it. It's easy to get into all those things. Next thing you know, you're really kind of like, the way I started thinking about it was, I'm the jack of all trades, but what do I really, really like? And it was more like that frog boiling, because it was easy to pull me in one direction or another, because, I like this, I like that, I like this, I like that, I like this. And there wasn't that good, better, best.
Right.
And so for me this year, so at the end of last year, or towards the end, I was already saying, okay, so 2020, I'm going to specialize. And I'm just going to focus on what I really enjoy the most. I enjoy them all. I mean, they fit into, from good, better, and best, they all fit in there. But what do I find like the best, the most enjoyment that I get from any of them? And so that's what I suggest that people do then, is also look at, when you're choosing or looking through those good, better, best, what is it that you can specialize in on? Because, or when I say specialize in, I mean, like, you're probably already a specialist to some degree in that area, but that you focus more in that area. And the reason is because the world has changed again. Because I remember back in the day when the internet started, and pretty much we got on there and we could sell just about anything. You know what I mean? And you'd make sales. It's easy to do the $1 million a day selling an info product, because you weren't competing against a whole ton of other people. And I'm not saying that, and that has nothing to do with that they were just saying, they were just selling junk, but I'm just saying, like, it was easier back then. It wasn't as crowded, etc. But the way that the way the shift that I've seen has been, again, more like that boiling a frog, that we realized, we're actually in a different time now, a different mindset, where people are results driven. And the way that I like to phrase it is, and I quickly jotted it down here, because I always like to read sometimes, because, like I say, I get rambling and my brain starts using words I never use, and you know me.
Yeah.
People want to live their life, and work is mostly just a means to an end now.
It's the lifestyle business.
Yeah. Before it was, like, we did our job and we didn't necessarily, I mean, there's always people that hated their jobs, but it was something that we did. And then you came home and you had time to do stuff, whatever. And now we're so just overwhelmed from the moment we get up, both at work, and then our normal life. And then you start that whole cycle again. And people don't like living like that anymore.
Yeah. Well, that's where you have to put up healthy boundaries too. Like Brene Brown talks about, you have to have a time when you just say no. Like one of my coaching friends, she stops at 6 o'clock. That's it. She will not look at another email past 6 p.m. because she's got several kids at home, and she has to devote her energy and her time to that. So for her, it's a very deliberate thought of, I am going to establish some boundaries. You cannot reach me when I'm in my family time. And that's just it. But the problem is that a lot of corporations have put forth this culture of everybody is on 24/7. And it's like, what do you mean you didn't get my email at 4 a.m.? You know, I expect you to answer by 6 a.m.
Especially if you're salaried, man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There's nothing that you could do in that situation.
I was going to say too, we've all become a lot more like doctors too, where we've been required to kind of specialize in what we're best at. We might know a lot about stuff like you. I've been around like forever. I know a lot about a lot of things, but we're also really kind of called to specialize in something, which is unique now to us.
I still see a lot of people as well, though, that haven't realized that. I mean, they'll hear it, and that's the thing you have to be careful. When you hear something and it rings true, you got to ask yourself, well, how am I implementing it then?
Yeah, otherwise it goes here and it comes out over. Oops, comes out that way. Sorry, my fingers crossed.
Yeah, he's got that going on.
That's why I always got this. I like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in other words, you know, we hear that, but I still see a lot of people. They're easily dragged back into the old thinking of, oh, well, you know, like I'll just run my Facebook ads and I'll just this and that and the other thing, versus like, okay, what are you good at, and hire out the rest. It comes back down to that money.
Yeah.
You know, the money can come, but your time, you know, once it's gone, it's gone. So, when you are then again, results driven, specializing with results driven as your end goal. So for yourself,
Dr. V is frozen and now disappeared.
he is reset. He's actually going to specialize right now.
Welcome to the Troy and John show.
There you go.
He's back.
There
you are.
Oh, I was told by StreamYard I have an unstable internet connection. And my suspicion is the 12-year-old and my wife are doing something online. So
real world problem.
One of those lights, you know, that you got to flick on, it says on air.
Yeah. That's what I should do. I should have it downstairs, actually, in the kitchen, so it goes off when I'm upstairs in the office. So.
I'm on air.
And so, so for me, with clarity is about being specialized in what you like best to do, and then really honing that in on how you can get results for customers and or clients. Again, I'm referring to, me as a marketer selling other services or products to marketers. But at the same time, like, you know, with the cooking channel, I mean, you know, your result is like, how can I maybe speed up the process of this for people? Because yes, here's the traditional way we've done it, but you know what? And it can be just, sometimes there's just small distinctions, like, okay, go ahead and soak the beans overnight. Most of the time, you know, or hey, here's another way, Instapot. You know, Instapot the beans. You know what I mean? Like, so I mean, you're just like, I just want to make quicker results for people that I can. Again, results driven, and then you want to just flesh out as many ways that you can do that. And again, from a marketing standpoint, for like me, being honest and upfront with customers and clients, meaning that sometimes they don't like, they do want the results, you know, they want the results driven, and you just got to understand that, hey, okay, this can be accomplished, but what you need to understand, it is a 90-day process, or it's a 6-month process,
right?
But we will arrive there, just so you understand, because unfortunately some customers, or I should say a lot of society, I'm going to make a big generalization, when you say, hey, this is what I can do for you, they're like, oh, great. Okay, I'm going to drop my, you know, $1,000 for that, or $3,000 or $500 or $50, whatever it is, and I'm going to get it tomorrow. And it's not always that. But just again, it's being upfront and honest of when you get them that result, and there's going to be a process to it. But again, it's just, you know, being results driven, because people really just want to get that done, check it off their list, so to speak, even though it may be a recurring type thing that needs to be done. But they want to feel like they've got that area accomplished, and then they can move on to the other thing on their list that they want to get better at, or they need to have implemented into their business. So that's kind of just my idea of me being clear and how I think people should do, and that is being clear of what you want to do, what you're best at, what you really enjoy the most, specializing in it, specializing into a results-driven version of that, because people want to live their lives, and work is just a means to an end for most people. And when I say work, is whether their business is a means to an end, unless they're that's all they have, and they're just so much into it, and then that's a different kind of person. But
well, I think what you're talking about too is that a lot of times clients or small businesses and others have an unrealistic expectation that if they just throw money at something, they're going to get instantaneous results. And I think it's that instant gratification mentality that is pervasive throughout our society. Like, I want it now. If I can suddenly stream 590 movies in my iPad, why can't I get my business done in just the same amount of time?
Why can't I do it all at once?
Yeah. Give me the whole thing. I want to and that's the turnkey business. Everybody's trying to sell turnkey. You just, all you got to do is turn this key and suddenly you'll be an instant 7-figure owner. And it's just like, but I think so. Setting reasonable expectations should be in there, but still being as optimistic as possible, enthusiasm, put a lot of energy and gain momentum in whatever you're offering to somebody. But at the same time, set some expectations, like you're talking about, Troy, like 90 days. That can be reasonable for a lot of things, as opposed to saying, I'm going to get you a new website by the end of the week. And
I have found that when you talk to people that have real businesses and they have done either some things online, in other words, they're not completely new to it.
Right.
They're more understanding. They just want to say, whatever your fee is or whatever I'm paying you, I will get that result, right? They want that guarantee.
Right.
They're more understanding of, like, I understand it's a process. They're not a new person to business. They know the reality of things take time, and things that are going to last will take time.
Yeah, and that's why I like working with doctors who've been in a bricks and mortar practice, and they know what it's like to have a patient flow. They know what it's like to have a payroll. They know what it's like to have advertising and rent and utilities, and all these things come together, creating positive cash flow. And so they're used to having a machine, a healthcare machine, if you will, that has a lot of moving parts, and they can understand better. I mean, any small business person who's had a bricks and mortar business is going to understand it better when it comes to internet marketing than somebody who's purely done digital their entire life.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and the thing is, I mean, if they have done digital all their life, that's actually fine. It just depends on where they are at in their mindset, because there are, like you had mentioned before, the overnight 7-figure business.
Right.
The reality is that's incomplete. That's a lie.
Yeah. They became an overnight success, but it took 12 years.
Right.
That's exactly what it is. And
they appeared out of nothing, but there was a lot of foundation work that was layered into.
Yeah.
See, and I have to admit, so when I was younger, that stuff I was drawn to. I was like, wow, like, now overnight. I mean, I've done other business stuff, so I just knew that it probably wasn't overnight, but I was like, okay, a little bit of time, but no, the reality is there was a lot more time.
Right.
And then what happened is a lot of things that I chose to follow in the beginning were built upon like little loopholes and things like that, and I made money, but then they weren't sustainable. I didn't have a business that I have. I don't have it now. You know what I mean? And that's the thing that I think, again, most people they want their businesses to be a means to an end because they want to just live their lives. So that's why I want to work with people that are saying, if it takes time, that's fine, and or money, I mean, that's fine. I get that. I just want to know at the end, will this make my business stronger to a longer sustainable business period? Because I want that to work, because I want to live. I don't want to keep restarting, and that's, I mean, some people finally get well, they get tired of it and they don't know who to look to, because there are a lot of those.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of people who've been burned,
but
have been burned by gurus over the years, and especially in the internet community. And after a while, but those people aren't playing the long game, and they don't realize that, you know, with social media nowadays, your reputation can be spread around very quickly. So you better treat people really well and deliver results. And if you can't deliver the results, offer them a guarantee, give them back the money. The last thing you want is somebody bad mouthing you online.
Yeah.
In terms of reputation management. But that vision, I found my gamification cards, which is really cool in terms of clarity. So I worked together with a bunch of guys, and this was the foundation card.
Sure.
The foundation card was indeed vision.
Mm-hmm.
It was, what do you want to achieve? What do you want to accomplish? What's your future reality? And your bigger purpose? What is it that you're playing? Why are you playing this whole game of business? And I think that when you look at that, at the big picture stuff, it helps you to fit all those little pieces together. But it's a question of clarity. Are you really after, for example, somebody who wants to build a I won't say God forbid, because it would be great in some ways, an 8-figure business where you're going to have an office and staff and everything and just, you know, have to manage all this stuff? Or would you prefer to have a lifestyle business where you can enjoy more time with your family, travel, do the things that you always want to do? And if that's the case, then you architect that backwards to create your blueprint. You see the finished building, and then you work backwards until you're digging the hole to lay the foundation.
Yeah, and that's exactly like where I've come from. Where, you know, again, when I was younger, we talked about the other day that I was more into the flashy stuff, and that was kind of what I wanted, whatever. But now getting older is, again, I want to just keep my business building, where it always continues to maintain, you know, my lifestyle, and just live. I mean, my business is, you know, a means to an end, and as a part of that, does have to include results driven, and actually caring about the results of my customers and clients. I mean, it absolutely has to, and not only for short-term sales, but long-term sales, because again, as we know, it's more expensive to get a new customer than to take care of a customer you've had, you know, for X amount of time.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Back in the 90s, my new patients, like 1989, 1990, 1992, my average cost per new patient was $350, which in today's market would be probably a lot more. I would imagine it'd probably be $560 or something like that to acquire just one new patient.
Yeah.
And it was so much easier just to reactivate existing patients than it was to go hunting after new business.
It's hard to say that a lot's changed in the way that we acquire new business.
True. I mean, if I could spend $350 per lead who buys something nowadays, I mean, can you imagine how many ads that would buy on Google and Facebook and everything else?
Yeah.
A huge advertising budget goes a lot longer nowadays than it used to when I was relying on direct marketing and newspaper ads and things like that.
Yeah, so it might not have really changed that much. It's definitely gone up some, but
John, what do you think about you know, some of the things about, you know, like good, better, best, specializing, results driven, and then people wanting to just have a means to an end?
You know, I was listening to you when you said that the other day, and I know that I definitely look at things as this is a means to an end. My values have certainly changed over time. And, you know, having a big health challenge makes your mindset change a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, we are the lump sum of our experiences in life, right?
Mm-hmm.
So lots of things change over time as time goes on. And I'm not enamored by shiny objects like I once was. I just want things to work. I do think we're called more to be people look for us more as specialists. You know, they look for the person who specializes in this or that. And I know that I am much more of a specialist than I used to be. I still know a lot of stuff, still do a lot of things like you do, but my specialty is definitely more in the video realm than it was back when I started, for sure. We had to know a lot more when we got started back then.
Yeah.
I just was checking. I was checking, and $350 in 1990 is now $691 in 2020 dollars.
Yeah,
It's almost double. Isn't that
Yeah.
crazy?
Yeah.
It's almost doubled.
But I bet our efficiency has gotten a lot better. I bet you that.
Oh, yeah.
I bet you that 350 number, if we were actually to look at people's results, I bet it might still even be the same, just because advertising is different.
Well, yeah, I mean, because
things like, Google's like GMB working for us, Google My Business, so it might even be less in some ways.
it depends because I can recall that you look at your life. They talk about lifetime customer value. Well, we used to have lifetime patient value.
Sure.
And lifetime patient value on somebody back then, where you're looking at, say, it was probably around $2,400, maybe. So spending $350 to make $2,400 is a pretty good leverage.
We would do that all day long.
Exactly. I'd do it if it was double. Spend $350, make $700. It's a cash machine.
And it's a funny thing. So many people don't look at it that way. They look at it and go, "Wow, I'm spending $350.
Yeah,
I'm only making $600." But if you could take $1 and turn it into $2, you do it all day long.
Of course you would.
Yeah.
But that's a very hard mindset for a lot of people to adapt.
Yeah.
And they don't even believe it, or they look at it saying, "Oh my gosh, I've only gained 100% of my money."
Yeah. We would take that investment all day long.
Of course.
No matter what it was.
I mean, the old time version of the stock market was you make about 12% over, say, 30 years or so, and that's considered successful. So, well, because you're the financial guy. So,
right.
Yeah.
I think the challenge today is there's so many people that are trying to do the same thing that worked 20 years ago today and get ahead, and that's not working for them.
Like I said, some things are timeless. Sales.
Some things, some things are timely and timeless.
Yeah.
There's lots of things that are changing very quickly. Like we could be working on something today that works like gangbusters, and tomorrow it's gone. And
I think that's
wonder where to go.
Yeah, I think that's the difference between being tactical versus being strategic.
Yeah.
So you come up with your strategy, which is based on clarity, and then you line up all the little tactics necessary to win battle after battle after battle until you eventually win the game. You can tell I've been playing a lot of Risk lately, board games. But that's part of the whole thing is a real difference. And I've fallen into this trap many, many times in e-commerce and a number of other businesses of being an opportunist, seeing an opportunity, seeing sort of the next fidget spinner in marketing or whatever it is, and it has a peak and then it just disappears, as opposed to coming up with a strategy, a very strong business vision, having, goals in mind, and then coming up with the necessary tactics or little pieces that make up that big puzzle. But if you're just always seeking opportunities, that's your shiny object syndrome. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to learn this. I'm going to do TikTok. I'm going to do Instagram Live. But without having an overarching strategy, we are lacking clarity, and we're always going to come up with fuzzy and inconsistent results.
True. Very true.
Gets off soapbox. So do we have clarity now? Hey, we almost have an hour too. So
yeah, much more than we had before. I think
we had more clarity than
we kind of took a big roundabout on clarity, but obviously
we came back. Be strategic. Be strategic, not opportunistic.
Right, and clarity can mean different things to different people too, depending on how you look at it. As
sure, Scientologists want you to be clear, so that's a whole other story. So.
That's another story. Yeah. Oh boy.
my engrams.
Yeah, it's a tough act to follow around here.
Yeah, I'm speechless after that. I don't know what to say.
Good.
I don't either.
My job is finished.
Good night.
Good night, all.
Good, everyone. Any final thoughts?
Those are mine.
All right, cool.
Well, that's something that, like I say, so these little notes here are something that I want to make into a succinct kind of live snippet, to put into the group and have people think about it. There's also some other things for the group that I'm wanting to. I mean, speaking of actually clarity, so that's why I did like that graphic that I did for the group to kind of give people a goal for the group that have like 4 points to it. So what you should be doing in the group, and I'm going to then continue to reinforce that, and then hopefully other members in the group will help reinforce that when people come in and go like, well, what is this all about, or what should I be doing, and to again, it's almost like we're getting everybody to be with those 4 points. So think about like, north, east, south, and west all pointing into one point, and we're all focused like a laser of what the group is, and it will attract other people who are willing to follow that, and in essence specialize in following those steps while in the group and getting a more laser focused result, because I do see some people seeing the group as a jump in, throw a link, and I'm out of here. Well, those people are not going to get the benefit of the group really, because the group, again, like we've talked about, is a family in one sense, and we're going to get to know who's posting necessarily more frequently, or who's responding to, who's putting comments, who's liking some things, who's instant messaging somebody and saying, hey, I really liked your stuff, and I was wondering if we could get together, maybe we'll do a live stream where I interview you or whatever, where it's doing the purpose of the group and becoming more of a tight family.
Yeah, and you're nurturing the members of this community within the group.
Right, and at the same time, I'm also wanting to help the group see that I want them to also nurture. So it's because I've had some people say to me, like, well, your group, I like it, and they'll say whatever else they're saying, and I'll say, well, I appreciate that. The way I see it kind of in a way is I was fortunate enough to spearhead the group. I really see, again, the group as a group. Like, it is, everybody is important in there, and everybody's their own individual, that we've formed this family in this group. So because I don't want it to be like, well, what should I do, Troy? Well, I have set some kind of rules and a structure that I hope people will adopt and want to focus in on it. So again, they're clear about what they should do in the group. They're clear what the group's focus is, and again, clear on how to get the benefit from the group or the family, the network of people that are in there.
You're establishing those expectations and the ground rules, the game. The game of the group has certain rules, and here they are. And if you want to win, here's how you play.
Well, there's nothing worse than if you've ever played with friends and family when you're doing rules or you're playing a game that the rules, or they're clear, and then somebody in the middle of the game, somebody does something and go like, well, that's how we used to do it, whatever. I'm like, well, let's look at the rules. You know what I mean? Or what we've done for our family and immediate family when we play games, we look at the normal rules and make sure, kind of feel everybody has those. And then we're like, okay, are there any other rules that you have played differently that you want to discuss now? Because if they're not implemented in the beginning, you don't try to bring them up in the middle of the game.
That was my experience with Uno. My family playing different rules than I used to play in the 70s.
Because as we can see, that non-clarity from the beginning causes a not such a good experience later on down the road when people, we were having fun, all of a sudden now it went ugly.
Yeah, it gets to be discord and upset and not fun.
None of those things are good.
Somebody throws over the entire game board, and then it's like, oh.
Yeah. So that's kind of how I'm looking at, clarity. And that's why, I've started to do what I'm doing in the group, is to help them be clear, and then also help everybody else buy into those as well.
Yeah. Well, I would even pin that chart right at the beginning with a little explanation saying, here's what we expect. You can even have the rules put again just below it as a post, and just keep it there always at the top. So when people come in, they're exposed.
It should be pinned. It should be pinned.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the way that, it's kind of interesting. I think it's an announcement, and I'll have to check though. I think it is pinned.
Okay, good.
But I know, like, the announcements, will stay there, and people have to search through them, the way it shows announcements is the ones they haven't seen yet. It'll be shown first.
Yeah.
And then
or if you have like a little chatbot thing where you just say, get started, and like, here's the rules of the group. It immediately takes them there.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. Just a simple trigger, perhaps. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, I'm going to be doing, I'm like in my live streams as well. Like I'm going to, like I had mentioned already, I'm going to do like a small little video segment where at the end, I'll just inject that into my live, you know what I mean? And it'll just kind of go over. And so everybody who's like, people have seen it before, they go, okay, we know how this, how Troy ends it. So I'm gone. Or somebody new will be like, oh, well, what's this? You know?
Right.
Or just at the very beginning, you know, please review the rules of the road or so that are in the group and nurture people and take care of them. It could be just a 3 to 5 second announcement at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome.
Well, John Paduchak, what do you have to say for yourself?
No, dude, this was a good conversation. We
It
covered
was really good. I liked it.
a lot of ground between just our general rules of clarity and clarity in the way others perceive us. It's really, lots of very thoughtful.
And I think clarity can actually extend later to branding too, on how you brand yourself as the specialist.
That goes completely unsaid.
We'll have to do that another time. Branding yourself online. That would be fun.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit not too long ago.
Yeah, but I'm thinking even more.
But more depth, yeah.
Yeah, more in depth because branding is a whole. Man,
it's a whole different animal today. I mean, you really have to brand yourself and your business, so it's
and the business and that's
complete.
Yeah, and you're walking that little tightrope between your personal brand and your business.
Well, somebody's squeezing you until your head's about ready to pop.
They're going to squeeze you until your head explodes.
Exactly. So, hey, with that picture in your head now.
No nightmares.
No nightmares. But that pretty much concludes my final thoughts. But great to have you guys together with me today, and we'll see you all later.
We'll see everybody. And thank you everybody joining the watch party as well.
Yeah.
Remember, tomorrow is happy hour.
Tomorrow is happy hour. It's Friday. Yeah. Friday comes soon.
It does.
Sooner than
busy because we're busier as all and as it was.
I know. And we've lost track of the days. Haven't you lost track of the days a little bit?
Yeah. In fact, really, my last comment will be on Monday. I was thinking it was Tuesday, so I was a day ahead, and I finally caught on Wednesday that I got synced back up on actual Wednesday. Yes,
it's really weird, but anyways.
All right.
See y'all later.
Bye.
See you guys.
Bye.